All right, hello, good to see you today. Today we're going to talk about behaviors and what goes on inside our mind, body, that influences and impacts our behaviors. And so we want to start off with just a basic overarching understanding of what behaviors are, where do behaviors come from. And to do that, we have to take a look at an iceberg. One of the things we know about icebergs is that the part that the Titanic hit when Leonardo DiCaprio was out on the front of the ship going, "Ooh, I'm top of the world," right? The part that they actually hit is 10% of the iceberg, and that's the things that they can actually see. All the stuff below the water line is 90% of an iceberg, and that's actually the part that sank the Titanic. It hit that long before it ever got to the part that they could see. So we want to talk about and use that iceberg as an example of how an iceberg relates to you and your behaviors and your thinking, feeling, and belief systems that go on and play a huge part in what you do in your behavior choices. So we want to talk and we want to make a little iceberg here. And I know that my penmanship is sometimes less than stellar, so please bear with me. So we're going to take a look at this top 10% of this, and so we create a little water line that goes across here. We're going to consider that scrawly line there. And so what we look at is behavior. This is anything people can see you do. When it comes to being healthy, people can see you work out. People can see you eat an extra cookie. People can see you make decisions and put those decisions into play. And that's cool. What we really want to focus our energy on in this video about is all the things below the water line. So what happens when you decide to take an extra cookie when the cookie plate is passed around? All this stuff is filled up with our thoughts, our feelings, and our beliefs. So right below the water line we have thoughts. We have a thought that enters our mind that impacts whether we do or don't do a certain behavior. The average person has about 30,000 to 50,000 thoughts each day. So in a moment of 10-15 seconds when someone's passing a cookie plate, you have many thoughts going on. Have you paid attention to those? Are you aware of the thoughts that go on in your head? That's what we're talking about today. So those thoughts, it might be, "Ooh, that really looks good. I'm kind of hungry. No one will see me take it. One cookie won't hurt." Those thoughts are tied to our feelings, which is a little bit deeper in our iceberg. So our thoughts and feelings are closely tied. When I'm feeling hungry, I may be thinking one cookie is okay. When I'm feeling a little sneaky, I may be thinking no one sees me as I take that cookie. Right? So our thoughts and our feelings are closely tied to why we do behaviors. And then the deepest part of our iceberg is about beliefs. So what beliefs do we hold as an individual that impact feelings, thoughts, and ultimately behavior? So maybe I believe that no one has the right to tell me whether I can or can't do something. That belief could support me, enable me, give me permission to have an extra cookie. Right? So if I believe no one has the right to tell me what to do, I'm feeling hungry and I'm thinking I should eat a cookie, my behavior is that I will actually eat a cookie even though I'm on a diet. Okay? So this is how behavior is impacted by our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. And we want to look at that and break that down a little bit more, because as we make these videos, there's really 3 steps we're going to look at. If you want to begin to unlock your ability to believe and empower success in your life, there's 3 steps that we're going to look at. And the first one is about paying attention to all this stuff that goes on below the water line to help us understand why we do certain behaviors. Have you ever done something and go, "Oh, why did I do that? I'm so frustrated now. I shouldn't have done that." It's always easy to say that after the fact. We want to begin to pay attention to what goes on here so we can catch ourselves in the moment and not do things we will regret later. So we have a little tool called the thinking report. And this helps us do our first step, and that's pay attention to what goes on in our under the waterline in our brain and in our body. So the situation is a simple sentence describing what occurred. We like to start with the word I because it gives me power and ownership. It's my situation. I took an extra cookie. I took an extra cookie, right? So, and this situation actually happened, and I'm going to interview my colleague here behind the camera. This actually took place today, and so what we need to do is we need to think about, we need to pay attention to some of the thoughts that went on. When that cookie tray was passed, what was going through that person's head? And so I'm going to ask Connie. Connie's behind the camera here for me. Connie, we're trying to get about 8 thoughts. We have 30 to 50,000, so trying to get 8 really gives us a good picture into what's going on in your head. Kind of think of it as the difference between an Etch-a-Sketch and a Rembrandt. A Rembrandt is beautiful and can be appreciated, gives us a wonderful snapshot of what was going on with him. An Etch-a-Sketch doesn't give us so much information, so we were trying to get about 8 thoughts. So when that cookie tray was passed, Connie, what was a thought that was going through your head?
They were homemade, and so I knew they would be delicious.
Okay, that's one. What else were you thinking when that tray went by?
Timberly's known as a great cook, and if I passed this up now, I wouldn't get her amazing cookies. And then I thought, oh shoot, I'm on the Sleek Challenge.
Okay, oh shoot, I'm on the Sleek Challenge. Then what happened in your brain?
And then I said, well, if I just have one, I can work it off later.
Okay, if I just have one, I can work it off later. And then what happened? What were you thinking? Excuse me.
And then I started looking at the variety of cookies and going, oh man, there's so many choices.
So you thought there's so many choices. Okay, and then what did you think next?
Then I started thinking, why am I questioning this? I committed to the Sleek Challenge. Why do I keep questioning whether I should or shouldn't?
Why am I questioning this? I committed to the Sleek Challenge.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Why am I challenging this? I can committed to the Sleek Challenge.
And then I thought, well, I'm only on day 2, so if I do it today, I can start again tomorrow.
I'm only on day 2. Okay? I'm only on day 2. If I do it, I can start again tomorrow. And then right before you took the cookie, what was like the last thought in your head before you took that cookie?
I looked around and everybody was eating a cookie, and I thought, nobody's even going to notice that I took this cookie.
Nobody's going to notice. Okay, great. So we've got a very good picture of what's going on in Connie's head at that moment. Cookies get being passed around, right? So now we need to look at feelings, because feelings and thoughts are tied to how we make decisions. So when you're thinking, they were homemade, so I knew they would be delicious, how are you feeling, Connie?
I was feeling deprived.
Deprived, okay? Great. And when you thought, oh shoot, I'm on the Sleek Challenge, how were you feeling then?
A little bit guilty.
A little guilty. Great. And when you were thinking, oh, there's so many choices, what were you feeling?
Then I was feeling like I worked hard today. I deserve this.
So you were feeling entitled?
Entitled, yeah.
Is that a good feeling word?
It's probably a good word. I don't like the word.
It's okay that I put it up here, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And let's try and get one more. So when you thought, the last thought, nobody's going to notice, how are you feeling?
I was feeling kind of strong and confident, like I made the decision, I'm going to go with it.
So strong and confident.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So we have a nice list of feelings there as well. And again, we've tied those feelings to kind of some of these thoughts specifically, because there is a very strong connection. All right, our last area when we look at this first step of changing our behaviors is paying attention to our thinking, and that includes everything, even our belief systems. So belief systems are very broad. They're the way we look at the world. They are rules that we live by, kind of like that bumper sticker that you have on the back of your car. That's kind of the way we think about things in the world. And now, when we look at this belief, so we have a little conflict going on here, right? You took an extra cookie, and yet you're on the Sleek Challenge. What is a belief that gives you permission to break the rules of the Sleek Challenge and take an extra cookie? What is a belief that you have about how you eat, who can tell you what to do, what healthy eating is really about being the boss of yourself? What's a belief you have about something like that that would support why you took a cookie?
Well, I know I always do the 80-20 rule, so I think I gave myself permission because it's part of my 80-20 belief system.
Okay,
80,
tell me a little bit more about 80-20.
I believe that if I do 80% really well on my lifestyle, 20% I can still live a little bit.
Okay. Okay, I believe in the 80-20 guide. What else was going on in you? What belief do you have about, because typically we have many beliefs. We're trying to get about 2, maybe 3 beliefs that show us why we felt this way, thought this way, and therefore did this behavior.
I grew up with a grandmother who believed baking was the way to show love. And so it sort of, I think, stems back to that these special treats, not Oreos, but special treats are kind of that form of comfort and love for me.
Okay.
Which
So
probably need to change that, but
well, this is why we pay attention to it. So our next step would be to begin to recognize when there's a risk in that for us, but we're not there quite yet. So your belief would be special things make me feel loved.
Yeah.
Or, so again, to put that in a belief statement, then it would be the special things remind me of feeling loved.
yes.
Okay.
And there's one I just realized. I don't know if it maybe isn't a belief system, but I remember my dad always justifying why he ate treats. And he always says, "Sissy, a little sugar ain't gonna hurt you."
That's a belief.
And
right, so boom, there's something that was taught in you very young that you just kind of had an aha that, oh, wait a minute, that simple statement of belief might impact your behaviors even today.
Yeah.
You know, you learned it years and years and years ago.
Yeah. And my dad was an English teacher, so when he said ain't, it was all in jest.
Fantastic. Beautiful. So, this thinking report is our first step to beginning to understand and impact intelligently how we choose behaviors that help us get the success that we want. So this is step 1, paying attention to what goes on inside our brain and our body to help us understand what we want. And so just as a quick review, we come up with thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, and as we take steps in our next couple video series, you're going to see, because we're going to use the same example, how these tie into making decisions for us, that if we begin to monitor this, every successful system monitors itself. So if you don't monitor your thinking, it just happens and you kind of go, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and you feel remorse later. If you begin to monitor your system of thinking, feeling, and believing, you can therefore have power and control over all your decision-making process. Thank you. Have a great day.